Hello, nostalgic friends. I'm Aaron.
Hey guys, it's Ashley.
And I'm Garrett.
Who?
Who's Garrett? Hello, welcome to Nostalgic Podcast. Before we introduce our new friend and guest, just want to thank you guys for your feedback, your tips, positive, some negative, but we'll take them. And just keep on sharing. And yeah, thanks for spending an hour or so with us on your drive, your workout, or just whatever you seem to be doing. Ash, what's up?
Hey, you may have noticed we have a new voice on the line. We want to introduce you to our friend Garrett.
Howdy.
Garrett's hanging out with us from Seattle. He is an old friend who loves video games, so we thought we'd bring him on for our magical Nintendo episode.
So for our listeners, how do you all know each other?
We met over now 20 years ago. Jeez.
I don't like that. Delete. We will be deleting that.
Yeah, we met in the Coast Guard and went to school together several times, actually. And we've just been friends ever since.
Awesome.
Ta-da.
So our episode is on video games. So we decided to bring in the most knowledgeable
Person we know.
on video games. Garrett, what are you playing these days?
Today I was playing Dead by Daylight. It is a PvP game, which means person versus person. So I'm not against the computer. And it's a horror game. You get put on hooks. You have a killer after you, like Jason or Freddy Krueger or something.
Nice. PC or what console are you playing this on?
No, I'm not a huge PC player, but I do love my PlayStation. I have PlayStation 4 and 5, and I played on the PS5.
Nice.
So
yeah, I can't really online game because I get angry and catch myself yelling at 10-year-olds. And I've tried to play with my son and his friends a couple times, but they all just make fun of me. And
Oh, they're like too intense, Dad. Too intense.
Yeah. No, I suck.
You're just not
Well,
good.
one day I was playing, I was in the living room. Patrick, my son, was in his bedroom. He comes out, he's like, "Hey, mute your mic real quick." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "You are breathing so hard in your microphone." He's like, "Stop." Yeah.
Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. Well, as a person who watches people play video games, they do get better and better. I don't actually want to play because I can't do anything. I know, what was it, Halo? When you would like move, all I could do was stare at the ceiling because I didn't know what all the buttons did. And everybody's like, "Why are you just staring?" I'm like, "I'm trying to go forward," and it just was nothing there. So I don't actually do video games, but watching them is really fun. It's like watching a movie, and they're getting scarier, like intense. My heart can't take it.
Yeah, they are intense, especially now with the Oculus and the 3D, and it's ridiculous. So
yeah, the guys at work were showing me the new Mortal Kombat, and I was like, "It's so gory." Like, even ours had like ripping a spine out or something, but this is, you're like in it. So, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, did that person just possess that other person? Like, I don't know what's happening. Okay, so one of the things that we did on our very first Q&A episode was a rapid fire question. So Garrett, we're going to do this with you really quick. It's going to be 10 questions, and we make the rules here. So we were kind of like, all right, we answer really quick, but then of course, if you answer something like crazy, I'm going to be like, yeah, I need to know more about that. So
Is
this
there a
is
test
where
at the end?
I'm like, yes. I'm like, everyone take notes too. Okay, Garrett,
Yes.
what movie, book, or TV show changed your life?
Oh God, I have to answer these really quick, don't I? Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was an amazing TV show.
What has been your favorite age so far?
What do you mean?
Age, like 13, 15, 38?
Oh.
Not like Renaissance or
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
I like the Industrial Revolution.
I prefer the steampunk age. No, God, I don't. When I was 30, I guess, because I was playing in Australia and it was kind of cool to get all that stuff in motion.
Okay, 30. Is your bed made right now?
No, never.
You just answered this, but have you ever lived abroad?
Yes, I lived in Australia for 4 years.
Awesome. Can you name more than 10 U.S. presidents?
Yes.
Pass. I can't either. I just was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna feel out my audience here. Would your 12-year-old self think you were cool?
I think so. Yeah, I was kind of
Aaron
easy to
shaking
impress.
his head. I loved everyone. Yeah, I'm like, if you just paid attention to me, I loved you because.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, no, it wasn't
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna say my
I was
16-year-old son doesn't think I'm cool, so I can already answer.
You're like, no, he's basically admitting me at that age. Would you travel to the past or to the future?
I would travel to the future.
Future. Okay, why? Just curious.
I would just like to see where everything is, like technology, or if we're just like a pile of rubble, because the Earth was like, screw y'all, I'm done.
I know. It's like we're already going towards that apocalyptic, What mythical creature would you believe is real?
That I know is not, or do I think like?
Oh, well, I don't know. Do you think any are real?
Well, I mean, dragons could have been real at some point, maybe like back in the day, and they just went extinct. But if I wanted something to be real that isn't real, maybe a griffin.
Okay. And what's your favorite podcast? You
You
better answer this wisely, fool. You better answer this wisely.
Help me.
Yeah. Are you listening to any other podcasts?
No, not yet.
Okay. Gotta give me some. We love Morbid. So if the girls of Morbid ever want to come on and do like a
Collab. Yeah.
call us. We're here.
Can't spell trash without Ash. I love them.
Nostalgic murder podcast.
Yes. I mean, we did want to do like a crimes episode, like the
Oh, that'd be
most
cool.
craziest crimes of the 80s, because that's when all the serial killers were around, right? But
80s, 90s, or even like Kurt Cobain, something like that. Just something that's not
Right.
necessarily a crime, but just crazy events that happen.
it's on the list for sure. Yeah. All right, cool. That's us getting to know you. And my only news that I have is that I'm going to have sound effects eventually one day. If I hit a button.
Yeah, go ahead and tell them what happened to your board.
Okay, so I had some cool sound effects loaded and I was super excited about it after y'all know I had my mic issues and it was my cord. So I got a new cord and I was trying to mess with it right before the podcast and I deleted everything. So now I only have drum beats, which are.
The drum beats kind of sound like the crazy horror movie sound, like when they're after you, like
Oh.
no, the other one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
they
played
don't.
in succession.
Yeah, all right. They're not that cool. These are the ones that are preloaded. But I have a cool Bart Simpson laugh, and that's like a heartbeat. Yeah, anyway, I'm super sad about it because what else did I have? Mario sounds, a Chris Farley. Anyway, next time, something to look forward to. Keep it coming back. So,
Oh, that's only a nostalgic news we had.
yeah, I think so. We got
All right.
a lot of downloads last episode, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all.
Welcome to our universe.
Yep, we are the weird, awkward friends that are quiet when you first meet us, but after a while, you can't shut us up.
Right. And we do not take social cues. So,
Oh, no.
We're
Ashley
past-
said it best. We grow on you after
We
a
grow
while.
on
We
you.
grow on you. Well, this episode is video game based, but we're just going to focus on Nintendo, the original Nintendo, the NES. When I think of the original Nintendo, I think of sitting in front of the TV with a bowl of cereal, with a blanket wrapped around, the old TV with black and white, maybe original color. You had the little converter pack with the 2 screws that go in the back. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember
yeah, I
that.
forgot about that.
It
You
was
remember when
like
you
a-
hooked your cable and you had to screw it in, Garrett?
No.
There's a little knob and you.
What? I mean, I remember the bunny ears that you would put in or whatever.
No,
but,
this
like,
was for the Nintendo. This is before the RCA cables.
That's all I remember.
RTV was an old TV that had the 2 knobs. You had like the channel and the UHF knob or something on there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. And then so there were 2 screws in the back and they came out of the Nintendo and there was a small box and then 2 metal like U connectors and you had to hook them to 2 screws in the back of the TV.
I like when
Oh,
we
like-
show you, you're gonna
yeah,
like it has
no,
the pin, right?
Yeah,
Or did-
no.
yeah.
I do remember, but you had to do that for your Nintendo?
Yep. We sure did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Atari and Nintendo. That's what we had. I had that one, like a 13-inch TV in my basement. And I just remember,
Oh, yeah.
sitting on a pound puppy or something.
I know, it's like
with a
the
blanket.
floor is what I
Oh my
call
God,
like,
I
yeah.
had puppies.
Yeah,
the
just
floor.
sitting right in
And
front
the
of
funny
TV.
thing then too is the TVs were round. You don't
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, they were the 2.
Yeah, do you know
Yeah.
like even Goodwill now is like we don't take round TVs. We only take flat screens. Like they don't take the old
I mean-
school.
Oh, bougie ass Goodwill.
I know. I'm like,
Did you try to give them one or something? And
no, it's just yeah.
No,
Turn it around. Turn it around. I'm like sad. I just drop it.
Security.
Yeah.
You're trying to give us a TV.
Get her out of here.
Mhm.
They're insulted. How could you? I think that's funny to think that some people didn't even know that TVs were bulbous back in the day. And then they had those like projector ones that were huge. I remember those. Anyway, we're not talking about TV.
Yeah, we can do a whole episode
Yeah.
on TVs.
The evolution of the television.
Like the original flat screen was like thousands of dollars, and now you can buy one a 70-inch for like $500. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Garrett, do you remember when you got your first Nintendo?
Yes, I do. I had to buy my own, which sounds like okay, you know. You buy
Yeah, I'm like, cool,
5.
responsibility.
I was 5. I had to save up my own money to buy one because I think they were like $100.
Yep, they were $149. I have those
Dang.
facts, which would be $397 if you bought it today. So, dude, you were balling at 5 years old.
I know, at 5.
Hustler.
My grandma loved me, and I was really good about getting that change out of her. I was like, Grandma, I love you. She's like, here's a 20, baby.
Here's a 20, baby.
I could see your mom like, get a job. You know what I mean? I'm like, what?
She did when I was 16. She was like,
how are you supposed to get money at 5? But Aaron, how about you? I remember playing Nintendo, but I don't remember getting Nintendo.
Yeah.
You remember?
I remember I had my friend Brandon in Pennsylvania, and he always had everything. He was the first one to have Nintendo, Sega, all that stuff. So I would go over to his house, and I wanted one so bad. And he was already like bored with like Mario and the games, but because he had it for so long, but so like when I went over there, it was new, and I'm like, let's play Sega. And he's like, let's play some. He was just so bored with it. He was wanting to play outside, or I'm like, nah, we don't. Anyway,
outside. Kids don't know what that is these days either.
Get yours.
So I remember a story. We tried out a new church one time, and some kid came up and was like, "Hey, I'm allowed to take a friend home this week." And I'm like, now that I think about it, they're probably like some charity case. Like, let's take the weird kid home for the night. And like,
okay,
I went over this.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we're the weird ones in that situation.
No, I was gonna say that's a little.
I had someone come up to me and was like, "I'm allowed." I'm like, "You're gonna kill me."
I remember. I don't
like,
remember this kid, but I remember. So I was like, "Hey, why not?" So yeah, we went over the house, and it seemed like a huge house at the time. It may not have been. I don't know, but they had like an in-ground pool. And I just remember like borrowing some swimming trunks and swimming, and this kid had a Nintendo set up and this huge TV. I lied, of course, and said that I had one. I don't know why.
You're a kid, you gotta be cool.
They had to know that. I think they ended up calling me out, and I think the kid asked. They knew I was lying, and the kid asked mom or something about it.
Oh right, he's like coming up to mom.
I have a Nintendo,
Listen,
and I'm like,
listen.
Well, I said something. I made up something and like ran off. That's probably why we couldn't go back to the church. Them lying Butterworth kids.
Sinners. Okay, also, do you have a happy Nintendo story? Because that's kind of sad. I'm like,
well, I know. So I do remember I got one for Christmas. I remember we bought it from Uniontown PX, and once we got it, I remember hooking it up, and it was great.
What year did you get yours?
I was trying to think back. I really don't know. I know it was a little bit later than most people did. I couldn't tell you what year though. It had to have been probably
like late 80s.
Yeah, it was late 80s
it?
for sure. So Nintendo started actually as a card game like Pokemon. And they tried different products such as a love tester for like the back of taxi cabs, I guess to keep patrons busy while you were riding. You could pay and then it would test your love. This was in Japan.
Okay, I was like, what do you mean though? Like Nintendo itself?
Not the Nintendo game, the Nintendo company. Like they tried different products.
Oh.
Yep.
How did the cards work? Did you look into that? I'm sorry, I'm backtracking.
Yeah, I tried. It was almost like a Pokemon base where your cards had different scores and different skill levels, and you could boost them up.
I wonder if you can like buy them, like if they're worth any money or anything.
I bet if you had some.
Okay, Google it. Let us know.
Yeah. And they also tried some kind of like an automated knitting machine, and even instant rice is what I found. Some kind of Nintendo instant rice.
What are you talking about? These are not real things.
I don't know.
I'm looking that up. Not that I don't believe you. I always believe you, but I have to get my eyes on it.
Have you seen the wrapper, like the noodles at Save-A-Lot? They have like a Master P E40. It's like the Cuppo noodles, but they have the wrappers on them.
No.
I bought them all, but like little Boosie's like a spicy one, and anyway.
you're not saving them. You bought them to be funny, and you're like eating them, or are you like, okay,
well,
I'll have
Patrick
them
and I
on a
were at
shelf?
Save a Lot, and we saw them, and like, oh, we have to buy all these, and oh yeah, we ate them already. They might be collector's items. You never know.
I know. So I was like, do you have them on a shelf? Like, I don't know what I'm picturing here.
Let's see. Some other interesting facts about Nintendo. They are currently the owners of the Seattle Mariners baseball team. Thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
I had no
Okay.
So,
idea.
do you remember all the King Griffey Jr. baseball games that they came out with like earlier on Super Nintendo? Anyways, that part of that was the branding because
I
King Griffey Jr. played for the Seattle Mariners at the time. So
Ah.
there was a series of baseball games, you know,
Okay.
King Griffey Jr. baseball.
It was strategic. Also, I want
Yeah.
to point out that I know we can't see Garrett, but his face when it came to sporting games was very confused. Like that they don't even exist. Maybe it was like, and I mean that's kind of how I feel too. Aaron's the sporting game expert. I think even
I
watching
wouldn't
those
call
wasn't
it,
fun
I
for
wouldn't
me.
say
sports.
expert, but yeah,
Games.
especially with these
I mean, sporting games.
the new sporting games,
Sporting
it's ridiculous. So the Nintendo Entertainment System was released in Japan in 1983 and came to North America in 1985.
We got it 2 years after. What the
Yeah, so the original one was actually called the Famicom in Japan, the family computer. And if you
Oh.
see it, it looks completely different than the one that actually made it over here.
Yeah.
I guess for some reason in the 80s, like late 70s, early 80s, the video games really had a negative effect or a negative, I don't know the word.
Connotation.
Yeah, people they thought like video games are the devil, like that pinball is the devil, you know. So Nintendo had to kind of come with a new approach on making video games that were family friendly and
Right.
involved. So that was part of the reason they had the robot. If you notice all their ads, it's like the family sitting around the TV, and actually they still do that with their new Switch commercials and stuff like that.
I feel like
Yeah,
if you
they're definitely
were
family-oriented.
Yes. So
I feel
like
like-
Christina Aguilera's on there playing the Switch with her kids, and you know,
Christina
like
Aguilera? What version?
on the newest Switch commercial. No, not the old Nintendo. I don't think she was born yet. Yeah, I'm talking about the newest
from
one.
the
Sorry.
wasn't she in
Oh.
the Mickey Mouse Club? Like she's, you know.
No, she was. I didn't know like if you meant like the stripper. Never mind.
Oh, which
No,
version of
okay.
Christina
Yeah,
Aguilera?
She's not like on the pole in the living room while our kids playing Mario Kart. Like, you know,
Like,
Watch Mama scram as you play Super Mario.
yeah, Nintendo's came out with a lot of options, but I don't think the stripper pole like we fit
like interactive Wii. Yeah.
They're like taking notes or listening. Like, that's a great
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Wait, that's ours, guys. We're what do you call
Yeah,
it?
copyright.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we got that.
We
Don't
got
take it from us. Don't take it from So the total amount has been 62 million Nintendos sold since 1983, with the most being sold in North America. There's been 34 million sold. It's the longest produced console out of all of them. They just stopped making them in 2003 in Japan, 1995 in America. So it started out as an 8-bit, yeah, bit, not megabit, not kilobyte, like 8-bit, which is just crazy to think about the technology that we have today.
It sounds prehistoric.
It really does. Do you remember the first time you saw a thumb drive? I saw it was like a gigabyte thumb drive, and it was like $400 or something, you know, for like again now, you know,
to give them away as merch. Here you
yeah,
go.
I bought a like a
There you
4
go.
terabyte external hard drive for like $50 or something the other day.
Yeah,
it was something
crazy.
ridiculous.
Moving
Yeah.
on up.
That's crazy. So, as we talked about earlier, the original price when it came to North America was $149, which is $400 today. That's about what a PlayStation or Xbox costs. Well, would cost if people weren't buying them all and bootlegging them and selling them for
I got
$1,000.
Oh, get it. I was gonna ask that, like, what is the gaming systems when they come out run now?
Yeah, it's like $600, but people buy them and gouge.
That's
Seriously,
awful.
for Christmas, I saw them on there
is.
for like $1,500. People trying to sell them for Christmas.
Yeah, I had to get on like they had a waiting system, and I had to get online for it, and it took me weeks. And I was on top of my game. It would be like 11 o'clock, and it'll go online. I'd be there at 10:55, refreshing, and then finally I got one after weeks. But it was crazy the loops you'd have to go through.
Yeah, I
Oops,
figure I'll get
numbers.
my PlayStation 5 when the
Oops.
PlayStation 6 comes out. There's not like a real demand to actually have to get the 5 yet or the new Xbox So
I'm pretty sure we still have the 3 hanging out up there. It doesn't do anything. It's a DVD player as far as I'm concerned. And even that with streaming, you don't need anymore. So I'm like, what is this thing?
No.
yeah. So when the original Nintendo Entertainment System was released in North America, they really innovated the way that games were played and sold. The original one came with Robbie the Robot or Rob the Robot. I found both on there. I don't remember that. Garrett, do you remember the robot?
I do remember it being out there. I never had one. I can't remember if any friends did. I mean, we kind of grew up poor, so I don't think so. But yeah, no, I kind of remember it, but I just remember hearing it was awful.
Yeah, everything I found about it saying it didn't work. It was one of those things that had great expectations, kind of like the Kinect for Xbox. It seems like it was going to be awesome, but it just kind of fell short. It also came with the Zapper. From what I found, the original Zapper that came with the Nintendo was gray, and it looked different. They had to redesign it because people were mistaking it for real guns.
Okay, so the Zapper is the orange gun that you got with it. Like,
Yeah. I think originally
I remember it being gray though.
So the original ones were gray, but I can't see. I mean, whether somebody take it to school or something, or
probably.
I mean, these days, I wouldn't even risk it. You'd have a whole evacuated.
Yeah. So they came out with a more like futuristic type design, and then they added some red to it. I think there was a gray and red one and an orange and gray one.
I want to go back to the robot just for a second.
Okay.
Like,
Sure.
if the robot is for a family-friendly thing and they're like, video games are the devil, I feel like people who think video games are the devil are not going to be sold and bought over by this little robot that they're bringing it, you know? Because it feels
it
like...
looked cute. It did
I know,
look
but
cute.
they're like, the government is listening.
It looked
You know,
kind of like
I think
Wall-E.
well, Wall-E is freaking cute. I would bring Wall-E into
Yeah, no, it did kind of look like Wall-E actually.
Did it? Well, Wall-E didn't exist then, but yeah, but then it's like, what if it really was the government?
Right.
Get him in with this
Yeah.
cute robot. And that too, this is completely off, but Dustin's been watching Boba Fett. We watched The Mandalorian and I loved it. Boba Fett was just okay, but Grogu just showed up and I was like, I just want to squish his face. If they make any kind of government cameras that look like that, they're set. They can put it in the eye. I'm just...
Yes, like the ratings are dropping. Introduce Grogu, bring her.
Bring Grogu, yeah. Like I heard him.
Like thousands of them in the house.
I heard him from the other room and I was like, is that Grogu? And he was like, yes. I'm like, okay, anyway.
So also included the controller that came with the Nintendo, reinvented, you know, the way that, because before it was Atari, it was just the joystick with a button or 2 buttons.
Yeah.
So they actually invented the directional pad, the D-pad, not D-bag, the D-pad.
D-bag. Complimentary D-bag. I'm like, no,
Why are you playing with that douche?
we're like, what is it?
It controls Mario. Shut up.
So Nintendo actually won an Emmy for the new design of their controller.
They won an Emmy for the controller?
Yep, that's what it says.
What are the what do you call
Yeah,
it
it
behind
was-
it? Like,
The
thank you. The categories. The
I don't know.
well, you brought the information. We
I
need
know,
all
we're
of
like,
it.
what is this?
Facts are optional here, okay? You're really sorry.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, this is our podcast.
Look it up yourselves.
Yeah, here's homework.
Wait, hold on one second. Have we skipped the Power Glove? Because I see Paul Rudd.
I was
Okay.
on the Power Glove, but
You
go ahead
skipped
if you want to start.
I'm just love Paul Rudd, and I saw that Paul Rudd was with the Power Glove and Sexiest
Yeah,
Man
he was
Alive,
in-
guys. Sexiest
I
Man
was just gonna go. Nintendo came out with some other versions of controllers. Do you remember the really big one?
Oh my
Garrett,
God,
like the
it was like a huge one.
yeah,
I remember
like
seeing that one.
Gargantuan.
yeah,
Wow.
it was great for like fighting games because it can, you know, instead of a small handheld controller, this was a huge one that kind of laid out in front of you.
Mhm.
And the buttons were like as big as quarters,
Fewer
you know, and so they made it easier to tap and rapid fire. And I had one of those, and then what I didn't have, but I did try to use, was the Power Glove. Did you ever use one?
I remember very vaguely using one, but I think it was, you know how they used to have them on display at the store?
Yeah.
You could play them. Usually, like, you know, some kid would be like hogging it for like 8 hours while the mom shot.
Oh, that's-
And you'd be like, "Damn, that damn place."
yeah.
About to
You're like
leave.
creeping on him real close, like.
I heard your mom fell. You should go help her. So I think I played it there, but I don't remember liking it very much.
Right. So the Power Glove was just hyped up. So you had like a circle that you had to stand in for the sensor, or am I thinking of something else? No,
The sensor.
never mind. That was something for Sega that we'll talk about when we do our
Oh.
Sega episode. That's
Okay.
something else. So the Power Glove plugged in, but I think it had a sensor that went on top of the TV.
Yeah, we're
kinda
gonna have
like
to
the
look because
Kinect or something.
I just remember seeing the commercials And of course, at the time, I was like, it's so high tech. It looked like something from.
Yes, because they had like smoke, and they showed him like in front of like a movie sized like screen. And Paul Rudd was in the original Power Glove commercial when he was a kid.
We're going to link that for sure.
So I remember when I was with my friend Brandon, like I said, he was the first one to get everything. So I was with him when he got his Power Glove. And we, on the way home, we had it like in the back seat with us, because we were going to his house. I remember we bought it. His parents bought it at Walmart or something. And then we get home and hooked up, and it does not work at all.
No.
So like if you think about Thanos's glove, when you slide it on and you think you're going to be able to, and it had buttons on top and the D-pad, and you were supposed to be able to control stuff with just the flick of the wrist.
You felt powerful, then you use it, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Aww, powerless glove.
The powerless glove.
If I had a sound effect. I got enough of that. I don't need a glove to give me. Did it work only on specific games though, right? Like you had to buy the glove in a game, because it's not like you're like Mario with the Power Glove.
I think it was supposed to work on all games. Or
yes.
Because otherwise it would kind of defeat the
I
purpose.
mean, it sounds like it kind of sucked anyway.
It epically failed. Like it was supposed to be where you could use it to jump with your fist, like make Mario bust through blocks. And
okay, so it's just like flicking like up. I don't know. You can't see me, so it's not really helping. But I'm like, nobody knows what I'm doing with my.
I saw you going like.
I'm flitting like a little bird.
You're fluttering over there, and I'm like, what the?
I'm trying to picture it, and I'm getting immersed.
Yeah, so Nintendo, they were ahead of the game. They came out with the Nintendo Power, which was a video game magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Was that before the internet, they were able to use it to advertise new games, review games that were coming out, give tips, hints, moves, all that stuff. And then something that I vaguely remember, do you remember the Captain Nintendo gaming hotline? I think we touched on that.
It was called Captain Nintendo?
Captain Nintendo, the gaming hotline. So it was a 1-900 number that you could call that charged you by the minute, and you could ask for like, hey, I'm stuck on this game.
Oh my gosh. How many bills did parents get? Like, what the? Who's calling? They're like,
probably. I was definitely one of them.
So did you get a bill?
I don't know. I didn't pay the bill at that time, so I was like,
I didn't hear about one.
That is, Mom.
Okay, so what is your experience with Captain Nintendo's hotline?
So I remember calling for a specific game, and I remember hearing somehow, I don't know how you heard things without the internet back then, but I did. And I was trying to get a secret character on a game because you had to do something in like a certain order or whatever to find it. So I call, and the guy's like got a Jersey accent. He's like, how may I help you? And I'm like, I want to know how to find this guy. And he's like, yeah, I can't help you with that. And I'm like, but I'm calling you. What? How do you not know? So either he didn't know and he just didn't say it, like, I don't know how to help you with this, or he was just trying to keep me on the line as long as possible.
That's what I was wondering. Like, isn't his job to keep you by the minute so he could be like,
it was by the minute. It was like probably $5.99 a minute. And I'm just like, I don't know. He's green and he's this, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was just a dumb kid.
He's like, tell me more details about the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So we talked about the operator podcast, right? About the sex hotlines that also ran like all these kids hotlines.
I'm still trying to wrap my brain around
I wonder if it was ran by one of those
operator.
Like, it'd be weird because he answered the phone like, hi, how may I help you?
Right. Oh, wrong call.
Yeah, which one? Oh, you're calling about a game?
Wait, switch over.
Yep. So they also, do you remember the Game Genie? I think we talked about this a little bit.
Yes, I do remember that. I don't think I had one though, but I remember friends did, and so I got to use it through them. So
the Game Genie, for you all that don't know, was a what would you call it? Like a mod, like a modification.
A cheating machine.
It was a cheat. Like
you put the Game Genie in your Nintendo, and then you put the actual game cartridge inside the Game Genie.
Right.
And so when the Nintendo booted up, you could select all different kind of options on like jump, infinity lives, or super jump. It was just a cheat for every game that you could think of. I remember it came with a book, and you could flip through that book and it would tell you all the different cheats that were available for that game.
Right.
I have to say that while I don't know about the cheating machine part, but the technology on that's pretty impressive. I mean, how does that work?
I think you had codes or something you would put in for certain games.
So the original one, it actually had code. So like if you would type in up, AB, blah, 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 whatever.
It should have been a rapid question. Okay, really quick. Do y'all remember any code?
Of course.
Up, down, left, right, AB, select start.
Select start, yep.
All right, what else you got, Aaron? I feel like you got more than that.
I remember for some Sega codes, like the Ultimate Fire, where you're on fire all the time on ABA Jam.
Still don't.
Oh.
Yep, still
Oh
game.
my
See, you
gosh.
got that gaming look again, Garrett. That
Yeah, he did a
glazed over.
head
He's
tilt.
like,
Yeah.
a head
It's just the
tilt.
sport games. I'm like, hey, what
Yeah, I don't necessarily remember that many codes, but I do remember I played the original Sonic not too long ago, and I still remembered the hidden tunnels.
Oh,
and
right.
you know, like and I'm like
that with Mario 3. Like when you go behind the background and stuff like that, or you get the warp whistles. So what was that code for, though? That you just did Contra?
Yeah, that's the 99 lives on Contra. Or 30 lives.
Konami? I'm saying that wrong.
Yeah, I don't like Konami.
No.
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's how you say
Anyways,
it. Yeah.
Konami? Why do I feel like maybe it's because I have my headphones on?
I think that's a word that you read and you don't really say all the time. You know, you've read it 1,000 times, you know, but you never really say it. Okay. Oh yeah. So Nintendo, they've blown up now. They just came out with Nintendo theme park in Japan, but we'll talk about that some other time. Yeah, I would love to go to that. Hopefully.
It sounds like I saw a commercial for that or something. Man, I wish I was a kid again, because I would see that commercial as a kid and probably really think that it lived up to it. But as an adult, you're like, oh, I thought they were, you know,
like Yoshi.
Right, like you and I were talking about, Aaron, with like the beer garden and the, you know, I think kids still see the magic in it, where you're like, oh, you know.
I don't know though. Some of these theme parks, they do an awesome job of like making you feel like, have you been to like Disney, the Avatar Land? They make you feel like you're like in
Avatar Land now.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh.
I haven't been, but I saw the thing on it.
We went there the month that it opened, and it's just crazy. Everything is in that theme. The scenery, even the garbage can and the restaurants and all the rides, and it's unbelievable.
Just always picture stuff like that getting gross and weird. I'm sure Disney like keeps up with it, but you know how you have like that thing that's new, and then later it's like, okay, so I've gone to, there was a candy museum here, and they're basically moving the candy from one to the other. So there's a statue that is candy, but like pieces have been pulled off, and it's like rough. People are eating them. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, this is not a cute, you know? So for some reason I picture like a carnival, Disney being a carnival, where it's like, this stuff is really used. Like, so many people go. How do they keep up with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a smelly ass Mickey Mouse costume. Like I don't know why.
Like smoking a cigarette, like having a good time.
What do you want, kid?
Yeah, I'm on my break. Yeah, I don't know why I'm so jaded. I'm like, where's the magic? All I see is like, I'm like, no, ruined. I feel like that says something about me more than Disney World. Disney World's probably legit. I just haven't been since we were kids. I don't know. So I'm going to go on a little random story, not about video games.
Sure.
It's about Disney World. The one time I remember going to Disney World was with our grandparents, and we stayed in their Winnebago with them. And at the time, I was really scared of the dark still. And Grandpa refused to turn on a nightlight for me. I was like, no, but I'm scared of the dark. And he pointed to this tiny light across the room on the VCR. And he said, you see this light? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, that's your nightlight. And he left us in the dark.
Oh, God.
And this is my experience of Disney World. I'm traumatized.
I don't remember that. I remember staying there in the Winnebago stuff, but I don't remember it being dark or anything.
And at that point, my imagination was like everything in Disney World could have been real. And sure, there's ducks, but there's bad people in Disney too, like Scar.
Oh, yeah.
And
we don't want to go in
Maleficent. I mean,
the Illuminati, Disney.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we don't even want to go down.
We'll do a whole nother episode on that. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff. Anyway, yeah. So that's when I stopped using night lights, because clearly my needs were not going to get met anyway. And I just was like, okay, no one's going to help you.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, do we want to start talking about some games now, or memories of Nintendo?
I guess they all kind of go hand in hand.
True.
Right.
I want to hear the story of the light switch that you
So you got to talk about the setup first, right? So yeah.
So I had a Nintendo in two places, my old place and then my new place in Woodhaven. This was in Woodhaven. I lived in the basement in this room, and we had to connect the TV to the light because there was no power cords around or outlets. And so for some reason, our light had a outlet on it. And so we put the TV and a few other things up to there. And it worked fine unless somebody came downstairs for something and turned the light switch on or off, and then your game would just be completely erased. So
yeah, you have to think, this is a time before you could save. There weren't checkpoints. It was you're playing. You're sitting and playing.
No, and I should have had like some sort of warning because my mom has like a very heavy walk, and so you hear like doo, 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 and you'd be like, no. So I could be on the last level or something. I remember yelling at her a few times, and she's like, nah, 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 you know.
I picture your mom like the one from Big Bang Theory, the way you describe her. If you ever watched Big Bang Theory, she's always like in the other room, like yelling.
Howard's mom, like
Howard's mom.
No, I mean, she would yell, but she would yell between her teeth, like she got mad.
Oh yeah.
Like, just go outside or something.
Go take your ass outside.
Go get your ass a job at 5 years old.
So was it like one of the drop down lights, and then you guys had like an adapter in it that had the outlets on the side of it, right? Like before you put the light bulb, the adapter screwed in the light bulb socket. Is that what it was?
I think so. I don't remember because this is quite a bit of time ago.
To that.
I just remember that's how you got electricity to the TV, and that was the only way to do it. You had to jimmy the cord so it wouldn't be on the light, because otherwise it would melt. Because I think that might have happened.
So is there a light bulb on top of that outlet, Aaron?
So picture a basement, and then a light socket. And then there's a thing that goes in the light socket that has 2 outlets on it. And then the light bulb screws into that.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then there's still the light switch still turns it on and off, like from the For some reason I was picturing like, you know how you have the outlet that you plug the lamp into and you still have the switch that that's what I was picturing when you first started talking about it. But okay, I got you now. I've got the visual. We have a definite similar experience of the dreaded blue screen. So when you had a Nintendo, if the screen turned blue, you were done. It's like a game would overheat or you'd bump it. And so my poor patient brother had been trying to beat, I think it was Mario 3.
It was Mario 3. Yep.
He had been trying to beat it, and he was like on the last level, 99 lives. And I'm pretty sure I was just being a very supportive sister and coming up and trying to get closer so I could see what he was doing. And I bumped it, and then it started flashing blue. And I think I just remembered this like wail of despair.
I'm still crying inside.
When it comes up in therapy later, that's the trauma
I think like literally like I would play it for a while and then pause it and then like go to school and then come home and play it, and then when I had to go to bed I would pause it because you couldn't save back then.
Right. It's sitting. So it was like
something I could play all the way through, and I finally got to the last level. I remember it was like the sky ship.
Yeah, I hear like the
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
And I'm playing to get ready to make it, and all of a sudden a thump, and the flashing blue screen.
I mean, really, it happened so fast. Can we also talk about like later? I don't know if I do feel like we did this from the beginning, where you couldn't just put the video game in. It had to be a system of like push it down 3 times, push it in, blow in it.
Yes.
Push it. It was like a system.
I actually did it. I did a deep dive on this.
Oh.
Most people think that if you put it in and you got the flashing blue screen, that you would blow into it and it was dust on there, dust or corrosion. But I looked this up in 3 or 4 different places. It was actually inside the Nintendo. There were like spring-loaded prongs that were making connection to the inside of that cartridge, and they said the blowing had actually no effect on really
nothing to do with it.
Yeah, they were saying the only thing that it could have had is that the saliva from you blowing into it might have helped you make better connection to
like a conductor, like
I do remember. I don't know why I'm curious that, but I do remember like licking the inside of it.
I totally did that. I totally did that too.
Yeah,
I did
too.
Licked it, which is weird.
I was not a licker. You guys are the lickers. I was a blower.
Weird ass.
It was a little intimate now that I really think about it, but
it's just a Butterworth thing.
I don't know. We're gonna have to take a poll. Be honest, people. Who licked it?
So there was a lot of times the system, sometimes you would have to put the game in and then put another game in on top of it to hold it down better. But they were saying the main reason for that blue flashing screen was just a poor design by Nintendo and those little spring-loaded prongs on there.
And it was an event.
Yeah, and then I remember the controller. Sometimes the D-pad wouldn't work right, so Dad would like take it apart and take a pencil eraser and some alcohol and clean the circuit board off inside the controller, and it seemed to help.
I didn't know he did that. Jack of all trades. I am happy that it's something we didn't think about, but when they started coming out with control designs later, now they're just so fitted to your hand. Even Super, you had the buttons on top. I'm like, it feels so natural, where this was just a square, and you're like, I mean, like for little hands, you're fine because it's just a little square, but I think older, you're like, wait a minute.
I've got one like a retro piano things, and it's so hard to play with
my
big
baby
hands.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're like, what do I get? You need that big one you guys were talking about. You're like, all right, this is more like it. Like,
Yeah,
it feels
I
more
had
to
one.
scale.
Not
It was
like
the Nintendo Turbo or something. I had that.
yeah,
was
that's
awesome
exactly
for,
what
like,
it was.
Contra.
It was turbo. That's
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
You like turn the thing on, so like Contra, you would just like obliterate everything.
I loved Contra. Like
Yeah.
just spraying those bullets was really fun. Again, I'm not a big player, so like the little things were really for me. I was like, I killed something. Did we
So-
talk about the pad? Remember how they had? Was it the pad that you like
Yeah,
ran
it was
on
like
or
a
something?
sports track pad. It was almost like a
I
plastic.
feel like it went with only one game, or
It came out with like Nintendo track and field.
Oh.
It was probably like a 4x4 plastic mat. Picture like a.
I picture like the big piano for some reason.
like from the movie Big.
Yeah,
but it.
like-
That's
but
totally
not-
what was in my head.
Oh yeah, not that big, but yeah, like a mat. Like picture that.
Oh,
like
But it was like a
Size.
crunchy,
Okay.
like plastic though, like a real stiff
it
blanket or
was
something.
stiff. Like it did not fold well. I think you tried to fold it, but it was very awkward. I remember sitting on the floor and hitting it with my hands.
Yeah, that's what you had to do. You know, you were
Wait, you
supposed to
guys
be able.
had one?
I think we had friends who had one. I don't think we had one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
If we
don't
did,
remember
we got it later.
Yeah, we got it from a yard sale. That's probably why it's so stiff and crunchy. I know.
Yeah,
So
now that I
it was
think about
designed to, like the piano from Big, you would push the buttons with your feet. So it
Yeah.
would simulate you running like on track, and then you could jump. So
Yeah.
you could cheat it so bad, you could just sit on the floor and beat it like a drum with your hands, you know, hit
Oh,
the
yeah.
buttons. And it
Yeah,
would,
because that's way faster than I could ever move or ever would actually want to.
and it
in my
never
life.
did work. I think you could use it with Nintendo Track and Field. And I think, remember Caveman games?
No.
It was like the Olympics, but you know, cavemen. So they would do like Olympic events. So like,
Like lady tossing. I mean,
no,
what?
they really did. They had the like the wife throw. Like you held your wife by her feet, and then like you spun and like, you threw her.
I feel like it would be by her hair because you know how cavemen drag them by their hair, you're like swinging her
No, I
around. Like,
remember
that's what
it
I
was like-
picturing.
It was by her feet. I remember. You could select like your character. It was like Ugg and like, you know, like it was like
I'm
caveman.
Caveman.
I
Yeah,
gotta look
I'm-
this up.
I know. I'm telling you, I make more notes during these podcasts. Like, no, I don't know where he gets this information. So far, he has not been debunked, but I need to see it with
No,
my
I
eyes.
remember it.
And you use the pad for that one, or you just remember that because
I think it was designed you could, but it didn't work.
I want to know what the other games were though. Like
Or the-
kill a
the
dinosaur.
other caveman game. Look it
Yeah.
up real quick. and
Make
then we
a
can talk-
fire.
What? There was a
Carve a
fire
wheel.
starting.
Oh,
Look
there
it up.
was?
I
I'm
could have
not
designed
really
this game. I could have
Yeah.
designed this game. I'm
I
all
think you
about
played it. I think it's memories of
Yeah,
you
really.
playing this game.
Well, with the wife tossing, I probably was like, block that out. This is use.
Yeah. So I guess when we're talking about games, what was your favorite game, Garrett?
Jeez. You know, I really was trying to think of that. I was like, what was my favorite game?
I bet it was the
Um,
Christian one.
No, that one was the oddest one. I guess I could just talk about that now.
Yeah, let's talk
So,
about that.
I grew up in a religious household.
As
And
did we.
My mom brought me this game, and it was called Bible Adventures. And obviously, they wanted to instill this knowledge of Moses and like all this other stuff into my brain as deep as possible. So she bought me this game, and I found out that Nintendo didn't even sell it. She had to buy this from a Christian bookstore, or like, I don't know if there's like a Christian black market or something where they like just go and they like buy Bibles and like off the
At the
street
flea
or
market,
something.
like,
Yes,
hey,
like
Yeah.
something.
over
And
here.
they're like, yo, can I get the Nintendo game? And they're like, shh, it's $5. Don't
What's the code word?
yeah, but there was 3 games in there. One was Noah's Ark, and you had to pick the animals up to put them in the ark.
What happens if
And,
you didn't save them?
I think you had to save Noah.
So this is also a game like you can't lose. You're like, you
Yeah,
can't
you
move
can't- you
further
can't
until
lose.
you pick up.
So there
the
was that
turtle.
one, and then there was Moses as a baby, where I think Moses' is sister, and you're trying to run away from the guards and put Moses in the thing. And the weird part is you could throw Moses as the baby, like you put a rock, and he would be okay. But you know, so like I can't remember if you could like throw him at the guards or whatever. But,
You throw him at them? He's a weapon?
No.
You
I don't
weaponized
remember,
Moses.
but if you were trying to get away from the guards, you wanted to throw him up somewhere, you could.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like,
So you
I don't
toss him like
know.
in the Nile or whatever because she floated him down the Nile.
Yeah.
But, like,
so
okay.
I mean that was a goal.
You
And then
hit
the
him.
other one was David and Goliath. And I actually remember that it being not so bad, but I found out that it was basically stolen code from like Mario 2. Isn't that crazy?
It had to be better than Mario 2, right?
I mean, you could have created a game like about poop, and I would have been like, "Oh, this is cool."
Except for sports, obviously.
Not sports.
All right, I'd rather play poop games.
So not to change something and make a callback. So on Caveman games, you had the saber race, which you were racing against a saber-tooth tiger. It was the mate toss. You could be the wife and throw your husband. So
all right, women power.
Okay.
Woo!
Yeah, you know they were ahead of the game
They
on
were
that.
strong.
Fire making, clubbing, where you try to knock your opponent off a
I
cliff.
was kind of wondering if there was a club situation, like beating each other.
Dinosaur racing and the Dino pole vault game where you try to hop over a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So it was a real thing.
Yeah, we're gonna link those because I need visuals still. Like the graphics
they do have
back then weren't
videos
that
of it.
good. So what did they look like?
Oh, it was called the UghLympics, the Caveman
Oh,
UghLympics.
the UghLympics.
So it wasn't
love
Caveman
that.
games.
So what about you? What was your favorite game, or like
Man.
one of your favorites?
Wait,
Oh, I guess.
Hold on, we got distracted by your Christian game, and we didn't actually get to hear your favorite game.
Yeah, no, that was not my favorite game. Let me tell you.
Yeah, for the record, let's put it
I
down.
played that, beat it, and I was like, okay, I think I'm done.
Yeah, good. Learn my Bible study.
So I don't think I have a favorite game per se, only because my childhood was spent like playing a lot of different games, and I had like favorite games every now and again. Like I loved Mario 2. I played the living crap out of that.
What? Mario 2 is like my work. Like I could live without. I don't understand it. I hated the different
the princess,
characters.
she could float.
No, I
Yeah.
hated it. I hated it. I was Luigi all the time, but that's only because I felt like he had the range and the distance. Oh yeah, they.
Yeah.
It was a bomb for me.
Really?
I am surprised to hear that. Maybe it's just an art household. Aaron, how do you feel about Mario 2? You could be a tiebreaker.
I was Luigi all the way. Princess Peach was
Yeah.
cool because she could float, but Luigi just had the high jump. You know,
But
the
sometimes
real high
It was
she's-
jump.
either Princess or Toad, because Toad was fast. Like some of those games,
Yeah.
where you needed to pick up them coins fast. It was like, Toad's my man.
Well,
Mario,
how's
Yeah.
your game gonna
First,
be
though.
named after you, and you're like the weakest character? Mario is the weakest character on there. Like,
yeah, he was just like, all
Oh yeah, he
right,
didn't have anything
Mario.
right. Did you ever like have Princess though, and you ran out of time of her jump, and you're like, bloop? I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
Like
just-
I
just
kind of
fell
tried
in
to
the pit.
really push it, like the gas tank in the car. I'm like, no, we still,
Yeah.
we got this.
We're
I'm like,
empty.
yeah.
Abort.
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like you. The games kind of evolved as I played. Of course, there's
Yeah.
classics. You know, Mario. I was a real big fan of the Mega Mans. I just thought they were the
Oh,
coolest
dude.
things because you got to be other characters and you got to use all these accessories and the dog, and I just thought they were just the coolest. I still remember some of the songs and stuff from like.
I remember
Oh,
hearing
yeah.
the songs of Mega Man.
Yeah.
I didn't play
Yeah.
it, but it looked too
No, it
complicated
was
for me.
good.
But
Have
I
you
remember
ever
watching.
seen the box art for Mega Man 1? It is creepy. It looks like some guy had a panic attack because Mega Man has one of his arms is a
It's like
Mega
a gun
Man,
or
so things-
something.
things shoot out of it. But in
Yeah.
the box art, he's actually holding a gun and he has this awkward position. His face looks like he was like trying to think of something and like he's constipated or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
I actually have seen what you're talking about, and it is definitely disturbing
It's just
for
weird.
sure.
And then the other things, like the names of the henchmen, were kind of weird. Like in number 1, it was Gutsman. And I
Yeah,
was
they
like,
were always something man, like Woodsman or Leafman,
Yeah,
or
but like
you know.
guts.
Man.
I was like, what is? I was like, you're like taking his guts. I was like, what the-
Man.
and then like.
So
In,
it
the
was-
second one, there was like Flash Man. I was like, so what has he got? Like a trench coat? And he's like,
Yeah, cannot be within 100 feet of a school man, like you know.
something. And then in the third one, there was Hard Man and Top Man. And I'm just sure some of my gay friends are like, oh, how old is this guy?
Yeah, I think they
Dang.
probably just ran out of ideas. They're like, look, we
I
need
don't know.
some
but, like,
kind of
some
man.
the names
who-
are just funny.
Yeah, they're
Well,
like
and you had the
chairman.
different names. Were they any different? It was Hard Man like rock.
Well, when you
Hard or
beat
what?
them, you end up taking over like their ability after
Their
you beat
powers.
them.
So what did you get
So
for Guts
Lightning
Man?
Man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that.
I can't remember.
I pulled my cord out.
Oh,
And I forgot
Yeah.
you could hear me when it was pulled out, so I didn't know you could actually
Yeah,
hear me
we're
getting ready.
whoa.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I really liked Mike Tyson's Punch Out, sticks out. That was just
Did
a
you ever
classic
beat
to
that
me.
game?
I did, but
You
I
did?
had to use the code.
Oh,
There
they
was a
gave you-
code you could put in that would take you straight to Mike Tyson. So I would just have to do that because
Oh.
I would go through the whole game and then get to Mike Tyson, and then I couldn't ever beat him.
Or like out of energy.
Yeah, so there was a code that could take you straight to Mike Tyson. So you started full, and it probably took me a while, but I finally beat it. But once I beat him one time, once I beat him once, I had it down.
1-2.
The coolest one though was it King Hippo, where you punched him and his pants fell down. You remember he was a bigger guy, and how you defeated him, you had to get him when he wasn't blocking and punch him, and then his pants fell down. And then you could whoop up on him when he was trying to pull his shorts, his box. It wasn't Flash Man. It wasn't Flash Man. Like,
I'm just picturing like heart boxers for some reason. Like
I think it was heart boxers. Like
probably
I'm telling y'all, I got a recall. I don't think that I remember any of these, but I'm like, if it were me, I would put heart boxers. But maybe I'm just stealing those ideas. Okay. I gotta go into DuckTales was my favorite one. I loved it so
that is one of my
much.
favorites.
And I could actually get far on that. So for me, that's an extra bonus because normally, like, I get on level 1 of the games, but that one I actually could accomplish. And I love Launchpad to come pick you up and you bounce on your little cane. And I loved it so much.
See, I thought I was so cool because, like, in the Himalayas level, it's the snow and all that stuff. And there's a part where you can go outside. And I don't know where I learned this from, but you could bounce on your cane, and then it was like some kind of like extra level,
the clouds above, or there's one where you drop down. I don't, Garrett, I don't know if I beat any games. I know that's a weird thing, but I the only one I've ever beat is that Journey game we were talking about, and you don't really beat it; you just get to the end. But I don't remember ever having a celebration of I won the end of a game. Like that's weird because when you asked me that, I was like, I don't know. Did I beat it? I got really far. Yeah, I don't know. And Spot, that game Spot. I beat that game. But again, have y'all played Spot? It's so fun.
7-Up propaganda.
7-Up propaganda. Yeah.
You like bubbles, right?
Yeah, you collected like bubbles, and then you rode on a train at one point, and he had like, remember if you let him stand there too long, he'd do like this wavy dance. Like,
yeah, he would. He would do. Like,
and he had his little Chuck Taylors on. He was so cool. Whatever. But again, that was another one that you don't actually beat. It's just you get to the end of it.
Yeah. You remember the NOID from Domino's?
Oh yeah, the Domino's.
They had a game that he was in.
Avoid the NOID. I remember this.
Something.
And was it the same thing though? Well, one, did they do like the Christian game and steal the stuff? Like Nintendo didn't sell it, or they were like
authorized. This was authorized. I think you actually got like a coupon or something like that in like a book or something like that. It was like this.
Beat the game for a $5 coupon.
Yeah, or something. I don't remember if the game was any good. I kind of remembered it. And I was like, okay, this is crazy.
Yeah, he'd make a good game character. He was a weird.
Yeah, I remember the NOID. I don't think I ever played the video game though.
Okay, and another one for me. I'm just pulling out my list because I have like 3. So once I'm done, then I'm like, I'm out. I don't remember getting far in it, but I remember always playing at one of our babysitter's house or somewhere else. Roger Rabbit.
Oh, that game was awesome.
The beginning of it.
That game was so hard at points.
It was so hard. I loved trying to figure it out, but I don't think I ever really did. I probably didn't even get past the first or second level. I remember playing the same thing over and over and being like,
I think you started in the car, right?
Your Benny would come and pick you up at one point, but I don't remember much outside of that. But I remember playing it a lot.
Yeah, it was really tough because you had to fight like what were they, weasels or something?
It's like weasels, yeah.
So you had to fight, and they kept on getting harder and harder. I don't think I ever beat that either. I think I got to where I got the car. You did?
What was the last one? The guy with the
Judge Doom?
No, Judge Doom. Yeah, I was gonna say Doctor Doom, but I'm like, that's something different.
So it was hard to figure out because you would hit, but you would hit in this really weird way. And if you trapped somebody in the corner, you would actually just keep wailing on them. You could beat them, but you had to hold the dip, that whatever. There was a cannon, and you could hold it. And if you held it in like the right way, it would go on them, and they would die.
And am I mistaken this, or did it have a lot of reading? Was it like it was like a conversational, like?
Well, yeah, back then they didn't have voices, so when characters communicated,
it would be like
role-playing games, like Zelda would be pages of just paragraphs of words. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, that's another one I watched you play a lot, and I very rarely played with Zelda.
I
remember cutting the bushes. I always had
I still love those. Are still my favorite. I can't wait for Breath of the Wild 2 to come out. I've already got it pre-ordered, but So The Legend of Zelda.
Did you play the second one?
I'm sure
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, of course.
It was completely because it was very different from the first.
Yeah. Oh, we could do a whole episode on Zelda.
Yeah, I love Zelda. It was so cool. It was just like action and different,
And every one has been so different how they made it and how they're animated, and so. On my list, I've got Excite Bike. We already talked about Ninja Turtles, Donkey Kong.
Wait,
I
did we
loved-
talk about Ninja Turtles?
We didn't talk about Ninja Turtles.
I thought we did.
No.
All in your head.
Yeah. I swear I thought
That
we said something
game?
about Ninja Turtles. Yeah. That was one of
That
the most
game?
frustrating, the hardest games to play. It was awesome though, but it was tough.
Are you talking about, because they had two different ones that sometimes people get confused. They had an arcade version, which was
No.
like a side scroller.
See, I remember
And then-
playing the arcade one. I don't
Yes,
remember
and that
playing
one
it
was
outside
good.
of that.
That was a great one, but the original you could play as all four, and it was like top-down view sometimes, and then
Yep.
it would go to side scrollers other times, and it had two parts that made you want to pull all your hair out and rage quit. I think rage quitting started with this game.
Yeah. I remember it was top view, and then when you went down in the sewer, then it
Yeah.
went to side view.
Yep.
And then what was it? Was it the Techno Drone or something? It was the big thing that Krang
Tanks.
wrote in, like a drill thing that came up and you had to fight. It was a Techno Drone. That was the most frustrating thing on Nintendo, on any Nintendo game I've ever played.
For me, there was this part where you had to jump over a pit, and it was so hard to jump over this pit because you had to land it perfectly to the millimeter. And then the other one is if you got past that, I think if you got past it, or it was after this, but you were swimming and you had to avoid the seaweed, otherwise it
Oh,
would
I do
electrocute
remember
you.
that. Yeah, it would
And
shock
like
you.
you literally had like microscopic levels of blue, and everything else was seaweed.
I-
We were like 8 screaming at the game, like, "I hate you!"
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Like, I remember the music. I can picture this turtle swimming and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
It was a good game, but those two parts ruined it.
yeah,
Well,
the
I mean,
Techno
you
Drone.
only
could never
take so much
get
like
past.
failure of, you know what I mean? You just I mean,
Especially
that's
since
like,
you couldn't save it, so
oh yeah.
now if you die you can go right back to the same part that you died from, or
Yeah.
even a little bit back, or the last time you saved with auto save and everything. But back then, once your 4 turtles were dead, man, you had to start all
You had to
over.
start all
Yeah.
over. I feel like the developers, they were like, okay, let's make the system like 1 is easy, 10 is hard. So you'd be like 1 to 2, kind of do whatever, and then it'd go up to like 50 out of
Yeah,
nowhere. They're like,
ramp
okay, they got it. There you go. Sink or die.
Keep 'em
Was the
entertained.
second one I remember was there was like Turtles in Time or something? Was that
Yeah,
for
that was
Nintendo or
good.
was that
That
for
was really
Super
good.
Nintendo? I think that might have been Super, because that was the arcade game, and then I think that might have been
It was
Super
similar. They had
Nintendo.
3
Yeah.
for Nintendo. I think it was just the arcade game for number 2, and then Manhattan Project.
Oh yeah,
for
yeah, I
Red for
remember that.
3.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. And then
Oh no! You mentioned Donkey Kong. You can't go past Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
That is
Donkey
another one that
Kong.
I really loved and I was good at.
No, I don't remember Donkey Kong on the Nintendo.
yeah,
Oh,
it's not like the Donkey Kong, like Donkey Kong Country or anything. It was just like a screen, and
didn't you just like throw barrels or something?
it was
or
Donkey Kong was on top.
Oh my God, no, I do remember that game. I don't
Yeah,
know
you were
why.
Mario, like a Mario looking
Yeah.
character, and you had to kind of run. So they said that in my deep dive on Nintendo Facts that Donkey Kong was the first game that like involved jumping, like you know what I'm saying,
Like jumping over
a character
the-
can jump. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Huh. I did love
Uh,
Donkey Kong Country too. So when we talk about Super
Oh, man,
Nintendo,
those games are-
I was
yeah.
so good at that one too. He's always
Yeah,
my
those games are
character
so-
in
still
Mario Kart.
fun. Yeah, I
You played
love
Donkey
it.
Kong Jr.? I do remember that one. That was the one where you were like holding on, you had to like move.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then I have, you remember Blaster Master, where you were the kid and your frog went down like a hole and you had to like fight him or something like that?
No.
Okay, we'll skip over that, but that was a good one that I
Blaster
remember.
Master. Like it got into some goop, like a Ninja Turtle. Like
Yeah,
it,
it was
why
like a
do you fight
mutant,
it?
and then you went down the hole too, and then you turned small. You were trying to rescue your frog or something, but
You know a lot of rando games. I
Hmm.
mean, I stuck with the very basics clearly.
yeah,
Was
and
Kirby
I-
on Nintendo or was that Super Nintendo?
I think there
Blob?
was one on NES, but I never played it.
Yeah, I saw that the original name for Kirby was Ridiculous in Japan, but they changed it to Kirby when it came over here.
What was it in Japan?
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Like that was the name.
Oh.
Not
I
like
thought
the
you
game was
meant it was
ridiculous.
That's
Like
ridiculous,
I
man.
was like, what
was
is
it?
it?
What was it?
I know it's ridiculous. What is it?
well, what's ridiculous about it? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
It's like the theory of it is ridiculous that he could shape himself into anything.
I
Or,
guess,
you know,
I
like
don't
it's
know.
ridiculous. Let's just call it that. We don't want people getting ideas around here. Like I don't.
Yeah, and then let's see. Did you play any of the Skater Dive games?
No.
Paperboy was that one? Sorry, I'm
Paperboy
sorry.
1 and 2. I remember those. Those were good.
Oh, dude, I hated those games because like you had to be so precise with those damn
Didn't you
pieces of
get
paper.
like
It was-
run after a dog by a dog
Yeah,
or something?
so
You gotta like run away
as
from
in
Oh, I think
Paperboy,
everything could kill you.
if you don't remember, yeah, so you were a
don't.
paperboy and you had to do your paper route. So you're riding down the street and there's cars and dogs and lawnmowers and sprinklers and
lawnmowers.
yeah, like it was just
Yeah.
random stuff.
You would die. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like they're like trying to teach you responsibility. Like, okay, you can play this game and work. I'm like, what paper route? What are you talking about?
nobody
Go
wants
get
a
it.
paper route.
Go get a job, you young.
Garrett's
punk.
like telling his mom, like, listen, I'm only 5, but if you give me this paper route game with the Nintendo, I can learn to earn money like you want.
She wasn't fooled that easily.
I was like, this is a good sales pitch here. 5-year-old Garrett.
Do you play any of the space games like Life Force or Gradius?
Not so much. No, I don't.
Man,
know.
we are really bad at podcasting. We all didn't play the same games. Like, we're-
No,
that's why we're
I
here.
love those games.
That's why we brought a new voice in here. So
Yeah.
I don't really remember too much of those.
They
You
were
wanna
fun actually.
Explain
like-
some of
so-
them?
I mean, they were pretty much the same, Life Force and Gradius. I think one you would kind of go from like bottom to the top of the screen. The other one you go from like the left to the right. And you would have all these power-ups. You get shield, lasers, extra lasers. So it was kind of like a super beefed up version of what was the one on Atari that they would come and
Space
trap
Invaders?
you. Yeah. So it was like a really souped up version of that.
I do
But it
remember
was
you
just
could
really
get
cool.
different types, like Contra. You could get different kind of like a spray
Yes,
or a laser. Yeah, I do remember something like that, but I don't know if it's the
we
same
played
one.
the crap out of that game.
Was that on arcade?
Maybe.
Yeah, it
Like,
seems like I remember something like that. I remember there was a Friday the 13th and a Nightmare on Elm Street game, but
That's what I was gonna say. The scary ones. Wasn't Castlevania also like a? Was that
Oh,
scary?
yeah.
or- yeah.
that shit was hard. That shit was really hard.
yeah, I think that was one that I just couldn't ever beat. I remember you had a whip and you would have to fight different things, but I think I just rage quit on that
It was
sometimes.
I
it was
gave up.
hard. My friend, he got all the way up to death. I never got far. And he got up to death, I think, and he would always lose because that was just, I mean, at the time, we didn't understand as a kid, like, there was a system, and if you learned the repetitive system, you could eventually beat it. But I didn't know that at the time, and I was just frustrated and be like, this game sucks.
This game's stupid. Yeah. Yeah. But if you don't understand something, you're just done with it, So
Like Battletoads, man. Battletoads, that game was like,
What?
just-
I don't know what Battletoads is.
we'll
What
save
is it?
that for our Sega edition.
Oh, it's Sega.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, I thought it came out on the NES, no?
What?
Battletoads?
I thought
Yeah.
I remember having it for Sega.
Like to be
I thought-
continued.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I remember
Talk
having that
amongst
game for Sega.
yourselves. I'm gonna Google it.
It was
Yeah.
a hard game.
What about? Did you play the Karate Kid game?
I think I did briefly, but like I just
It wasn't that good. I really love the Karate Kid movies, and I saw it on the list and I remembered it. You could do like you had to catch a fly with chopsticks, and you had to build your character up by doing different training things. It
Oh.
wasn't all that great. I just remember doing the chopstick thing. Did you find it actually about the Battletoads?
I did. So Battletoads, 1991 video game, and it was originally released on the Nintendo.
Ah,
It actually was
Okay.
pretty cool. It's funny to me because even comparing later when I bought my NES and the picture on the front compared to the graphics are just really always funny to me. Like,
Yeah.
and so Battletoads looks really cool, and then I
It
look
did,
at the graphics.
and it played cool.
It
Did
was
you
like a
ever
s-
play Double Dragon? Because it was like that.
I was getting ready to say the same exact thing. It was like Double Dragon because it's like side by side, but you could still move up and down the street
Mhm.
and the screen. But I remember the enemies dropping down in, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You just
somebody-
have to punch them or kick them and whatever, and then after enough kicks and punches, they would die. But there was levels where you would have this motorcycle race, like a floating motorcycle.
Yep, I remember
And
that.
if you did not do that thing exact, and I mean like second precise, you would die. And we never, I don't know that we got past it. If we did, it was like once, maybe twice. Like it was just crazy difficult. And I was like, why would they do this? Why would they want to torture us like this?
I keep thinking they want you to play the game longer. Like, oh, we don't want him to go through all the games, but then it's also like, you got to give me a little success.
Yeah, like I understand challenge, but this was like to the moon. Like it was just nuts.
Oh, how we
Did you ever play Willow?
Oh, so I have a list of games that sound freaking awesome that I never played, and Willow was on there.
Oh, dude, Willow was so good. So my favorite genre is RPGs, which stands for role-playing game. It's usually, for people who don't play video games, It's a little bit more story oriented, and it's longer, and you get better equipment over time or better stats in order to progress. Yeah, I fell in love with some games like with Willow, Dragon Warrior.
Did you play Goonies at all? I didn't even know that.
Yes,
I didn't
Goonies
even know there
2.
was a Goonies game.
Oh,
It's on
I
my
had to bring
list.
that up.
I'm so
It's-
sad
don't-
right now.
So I didn't know this because I was like, I don't remember them coming out with Goonies 1, but I think they just came out with Goonies 2 and was like, nobody will know. But they did. But they did come out with
I
Goonies
was gonna
1.
say everybody starts searching for the first one. Like, what? It's just
I
really hard
did.
to
I actually
find.
did look for the first one and I couldn't find it. But I think it was for either a different system or it wasn't released or may have just been a very short, small release. But Goonies 2 was good. But the weird thing was the yo-yo was your weapon of choice. Yeah. It was like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with the yo-yo.
The Fratellis. With the
I know, but
yo-yo.
like, who has a yo-yo in it? Does anyone play with a yo-yo in the whole thing? I mean, like, I feel like you could have used Data's punching thing.
I
That would've
I
been
never
cool.
got that far, but it was a cool game. Like I
Yeah.
remember thoroughly liking.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
no,
on my
it was
list
good.
of games I never played but sound awesome. That one, Willow, and Indiana Jones. I guess that was an Indiana Jones game, but
I did not play.
yeah,
that.
neither did I. I just kind of found it.
Man, I feel like we like didn't even as kids scratch the surface of the NES.
There were
There's so many games.
There,
And I
I
just
mean, like
I think we stuck to
hundreds and hundreds
the
of
regulars.
games.
I spent
Yeah, I
hours
think
on Mario
because we were
3,
so
you know,
late
it's
getting
my jam.
the NES, but we did get the Super Nintendo and the Sega pretty quick. So
Yeah.
I feel like from
Next
there on,
episode.
yeah.
Was there a worst game that you started playing in and you, not that you couldn't beat because we talked about that, but ones that you just didn't meet the hype or you just were like, this is stupid or terrible graphics? Because I couldn't really think of anything. I think we just didn't play them.
I think back then it was so rare to get a new
Yeah,
game. It wasn't like now where you can just download them instantly. Like I can get on the Xbox now and download hundreds of games. I think you had a new game, it was a special event when you got one.
Oh, I did write some down.
that you didn't like.
They were horrible. And these would be games that I would be attracted to. So they came out with an X-Men game, and that was just terrible. So you could play as like Wolverine, I think Colossus, Nightcrawler, and a few others. But you would try to hit something to attack, and you would get hit. And it was terrible. The controls were terrible.
Yeah, wasn't
Ugh.
it started with the Sentinels in the city or something?
I don't remember. It was so bad. I played it once or twice and was like, screw this.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's bad when you put it down. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I think I've sat through some pretty bad games because, like you said, Aaron, this is what we have. I don't know that there's one that I've been like, this just stinks.
Yeah, because we lived in a very small town and they had a rental place, Brodax. I think we referenced that in one of our previous
Yeah.
episodes. But all the games were always rented. So you had to take what you got, man. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I'm
be
saying?
quick.
So,
It was like a super exciting day if you got one that you wanted. You were
Yeah.
like, yes.
because they had the game box and there was a small piece of like the corner was velcroed on. So if that little piece was there, then the game was in. So you had to go and like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So like the box
would be
was there. Yeah. And you're like,
but if-
yeah. And then you get up
but
and
if
you're
the
like,
tab
oh,
was
that,
gone
that
off
was
the
such a good
Velcro.
feeling.
yeah.
Like I could
for
rent
sure.
this for $8,000 a month.
I don't even know. Yeah. That is so weird.
Expensive. It was so expensive
It's
after
so
a
weird to
while.
think about now. Like,
Yeah,
it was
it-
like that. You had to leave the house, first of all, to get your movies. I remember being like $4.99 for DVDs or something like that for a night. Wow, it just blows my mind.
I mean, they used to rent the actual consoles, like the PlayStation, and you
Oh,
could
yeah,
rent a
they did.
PlayStation from Blockbuster. I remember we had to do it.
It was
So,
pricey.
mhm.
Good old days. Nostalgic. Okay, so what else is on your worst game list?
Friday the 13th. That was a really hard game.
Yeah, it was tough.
Ghostbusters. I feel like there's a theme.
Yeah, movies that they tried
um,
to make into games, like rushed movies.
Yeah, terrible. And Silver Surfer. I remember playing that one. It was funny because if you were defeated in the game, he would be like crying.
I
all hunched
remember
down on
that.
his board,
Yeah.
and like that was just basically the game. You would just see that screen the entire time.
Like you just
I
couldn't beat
remember
anything,
that.
so you
It
were
was
just
just
sobbing.
terrible. It was
Yeah,
Is,
like-
is the
awful.
Silver Surfer a very like emotional man? Why is he so upset?
No, he's a comic character. He's in.
I've
Marvel
seen it.
Universe.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he's pretty powerful, but this game was not powerful. It was powerless. It
But he
sucked.
just cries when he loses battles, or what? Like what? Why does he
No,
cry?
it was the end screen. Like you're done, and it would just be a picture of him kneeling on
Yeah.
his board.
I
It's like
remember
defeated.
that.
So I picture him like ugly crying.
No, I mean the graphics
Yeah.
weren't that good. It was just
Yeah.
one screen. And it was like the
Dude.
end.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's him just like with his head down, kind of moping. Like
Pretty much.
Okay.
It was.
Okay,
It was
got it.
awful. Some games that came from movies that were actually not bad. Did you ever see Gremlins 2?
Oh yeah, I saw the movie, but I don't think I ever played the game. I did watch
They
Gremlins
had
1
like
the
all
other
the
day.
characters, like the Spider Gremlin,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
Bat Gremlin.
But
and,
was this
like,
the same thing? Was there a Gremlins 1?
I don't remember.
Why
There
did
may
they
have
do
Straight
been.
to
that?
two
I don't
today.
understand why.
I don't know because it may have just come out with the movie. Or I don't know.
I was going to say,
Straight
maybe
to
they're
two.
counting the movie as one, and then they're like,
Were you like Gizmo and you did the Rambo thing
Yeah,
with the?
Yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
so
Yeah.
you had like a little arrow thing, and it was
oh,
like
I'm
was cool.
really
It was
like
hard.
sad that I missed all of these games.
It
These
was
sound
good.
amazing. I might have
It's
to
not
get
too
them
late. The Nintendo, I think it has like 600 games on it or something for like $50 on Amazon.
Really?
It's not official Nintendo, but it has all the games on it.
Because I would be really good at them now that I'm an adult. I would hope. I mean,
You
maybe
think?
I would hope because I'm a little smarter, right? Or I have a little more problem.
Some of them are still
skills.
hard. Like 'cause I've
Yeah,
played
I'd
some of them.
say the frustration level, like, yeah, it's got to be.
I might have to get a
Yeah.
Nintendo. Okay.
So-
Did we miss any major categories that we were?
I think we touched about everything we needed to. I think
Kind of.
So we could.
We
really
still
dive
haven't
into-
scratched the surface. That's the thing. There's just so much coming up that I realize I don't even
I
know
know.
about Nintendo.
I'm like trying to think. Oh, did you guys ever play Burger Time?
Yeah, I remember Burger Time.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I
was
remember
like,
that.
No one's gonna be playing this butt
Nope.
monkey.
What did
Yeah.
you do in Burger Time?
It was a weird game.
Okay.
You were a chef, and you had like wieners coming alive and other food items. And so
Like Better Off
it was
Dead.
platforms, and every platform would have like lettuce or cheese or the burger or a bun, and your goal was to run over the lettuce or whatever, and then it would drop a level. The idea was they would all eventually drop and the burger would be made, but as they dropped, you would try to kill the wieners that are trying to kill you. That's the only thing I could think of that was alive.
Killer
in
wiener.
I remember it's so like it was like Donkey Kong, right?
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah, I can't believe
Attack
you
of the
played it.
Wieners.
I talked to other people, and they would be like, "You played a what? That
You need to-
wasn't real."
Burger Time. You have to find videos of these killer weenies.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, did you feel like you were working in an industrial kitchen again, playing Burger Time? Aaron used to work in kitchens too, so he knows what's up.
Yeah, Ruby Tuesday.
You're like a
Tuesdays.
crawfish place.
Oh gosh. I mean, they had these huge pots, and when they poured the crawfish in, you could just hear the steam, and it sounded
like
like
the
they were
air
screaming.
comes out of them and it sounds like they're all screaming.
yeah.
Like,
I don't
he has
like
nightmares.
seafood and stuff anyway, but it was terrible.
God, that would
Yeah.
mess with you after a while, wouldn't it? Like, and they're like screaming, "You're
We'll find you.
Yeah. Don't go to sleep.
Something.
You better watch out.
No doubt.
gonna go to hell for that."
No, I think we covered as much as we're going to cover. I think we definitely are going to have a part 2. We're going to be talking about Super at some point and Sega. I'm amazed
So
at how many things I
much.
don't know about Nintendo.
Oh yeah, there's so
I thought I was
much.
a professional before this episode. It just made me feel inadequate. I'm like,
She's gonna come back and be like, "I mastered all of it."
yes, I will make it my life's mission. That's
Yeah.
also one thing I did have a question. Was there a movie about Nintendo?
Yes.
A gaming kid or something like
Yes,
that?
it was called The Wizard.
The Wizard,
And
because I was going to say Whiz Kid.
I think it was called The Wizard. His friend Savage was in it, and I think his brother was autistic or something. But it always drove me nuts because they had a contest at the end. They unveiled Super Mario 3, and this kid found the secret entrance, that door, like he knew it. I was like, you knew to do that? I was like, they were giving you hints.
So it does exist.
It does exist. And
Okay.
there's a movie called 8-Bit. It just came out. It's about some kid trying to get a Nintendo for Christmas. It's on HBO. It was really cute.
I did see it on. I saw it the other day on the
'Cause-
list.
Is that what you said the game was? 8 bits?
Yep.
Oh, full circle. We just brought the whole thing full circle,
we just
guys.
saw it.
It's good. Watch it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
this was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was fun.
Hey
Yeah.
Garrett, you'll definitely have to come back and do
Yeah,
this
definitely.
again
Thank
for
you for
sure.
having me. This
Yep.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, what are you going to do with the rest of your day? It's only, what time is it there? 7?
It's 7 p.m.
Yeah,
Oh,
so you got, well, it's 9 o'clock here. Aaron's at 10, so.
Yeah, I gotta get up in a couple hours, so I'm just like, "Bah."
Like,
Yeah, but as
motherfucker.
usual, thank you all for spending your time with us. Keep giving us some feedback, any ideas you have, any recommendations.
Loving the Facebook interaction. That's been fun. Although we haven't been posting as much as I feel like we could, but I'm anti-social media. I'm sorry if I'm not active. I just got back on there just for this, so.
Yeah, we will do better.
Be better.
Yep, so keep sharing and keep hollering at us, and we'll make it happen.
Bye, friends.